So this is what we have done so far to answer requirement II, price operational variance for both ingredients, scoring 1.5, 1.5. And then for IV, material usage operational variances for each of the product of the material, scoring 1.5, 1.5, 3. Next, I want to do the planning variances in requirement I to score another 3 and 3. Remember what I told you at the beginning of this night's class. This is the part of the exam that, see, it is not the final answers that are marked. As a matter of fact, the steps that lead to the final answer, they are marked. So even if your final answer is incorrect, you could still score, instead of 1.5, you could score 1. So take note of that. At this point, I'm not teaching you to get correct answer. I'm teaching you to do something to maximize your marks. Planning variances. I'll be thinking about the difference between the two budgets. So now, original budget is the budget, should, and the revised budget is the actual, did. This blue screen has come up again. So then I go back again. Material price planning variance.
I have a question.
Yes, please. Let it come.
Is it say in the class when we were doing the operational and the planning variance? See, after coming out with the original flex, the revised flex, and the actual flex, we found the difference between the actual and the revised operational.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. You went off, but you are back. Go on.
Yes, and that of planning, we found the difference between the original and the revised.
Yes.
Before, we use those figures to find the price material variances.
Yeah.
But here, I'm not seeing.
Yes, so let me polish it up for you here. So you were right. In the classroom, after doing this table, we found a difference between original and revised budget to give us the total planning variance, which we went down there to analyze it between planning price, planning quantity. And then we also went ahead, found the difference between the revised budget and the actual result to give us the total operational variance. And we went down there to analyze that between operational price and operational quantity. That is the classroom. In the exams, you are not asked to calculate the total variance. You are asked to go straight and calculate the breakdowns. So if I had gone to do what I did in the classroom, I would be doing what I was not asked. So I would not score marks for it. I was asked to just calculate the breakdown straight. So if I go and calculate the total planning operational variance, I won't score anything for it because that was not what they asked me to do. Do you get it, Tahiru?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the exam, if you do what you are not supposed to do, even if it's correct, you score nothing. So do what you're asked to do. Finish. That's. This is the reason I've got to solve real exam questions with you on revision, and you have to do more work than me. You've got to do more work than me. Okay. It's not difficult, friends. It's not. It's not difficult. But it's demanding. That is true. If it was not demanding, too many people would have qualified and the market would have been saturated. So it's good that it's demanding. Fight hard and go through. Price variance. What we should pay as price and what we did pay as price. Talking about planning, I'm looking at the difference between the two budgets. Soy milk, we should have paid a price of $5.9 for each one of the quantities we used. And when we say quantities we used, revised is actual. We actually use 0.19 kilograms to produce each one of the 480,000 units. This is a lot of number crunching. 5.9 should have been paid for each one of the 0.19 kg times 480,000 units used. Why did nothing pop up? Let me do that again. We should have paid a price of 5.9 for each one of the 0.19 times 480,000. All right. I probably did something silly at the beginning. But what did we pay? Well, straight away, we did pay this. Sugar. We should have paid $1.8 per kg for each one of the 0.01 we did use for the 480,000 units produced. But sugar, planning variances, we did pay 10,368. So for soybeans, we paid bigger minus smaller. We paid less than we should have paid. So that's a favorable variance. We were told the price of soybeans fell because of some winter cold, excessive coldness in winter or something like that. But as for sugar, we were told the price had gone up because of the winter. No wonder. That is bigger minus smaller. That's an adverse variance. Those are the variances in kilograms and in, sorry, here in dollars. Sorry about that. In dollars, price, dollars. That is material price planning variance calculated for soy, whatever they call it, soybeans or whatever, and sugar, 1.5, 1.5. Don't be too much focused on this final answers. The marks are in the build-up to those final answers. So in the exam room, The focus is the marks, nothing else. So focus on the marks and pass and walk away. Material usage planning variance. Usage is what quantity we should use.
Okay,
somebody needs to go on mute. Friends, you've got to focus in class, or you've got to focus. You've got to focus and avoid the distractions, okay? As much as you can. I agree, sometimes you cannot. That I can't do anything about. You can't also do anything about, but as much as you can. Planning. We should have used 0.2 kg to produce each one of the 480,000 units. Where's my way? Yeah. But we did use, as per revised, I mean by revised, we did use 0.19 kg to produce each one of the 480,000 units. We have used bigger minus smaller. We have used 4,800 kilograms smaller than we should have used. Value that 4,800 kilograms at the original budgeted price. Let's finish and I'll tell you something about this valuation. 5.9. Repeat the same thing for sugar. We should have used 0.012 kg to produce each of the 480,000. But we did use revised 0.01 to produce each of the 480,000. In terms of kilograms, we have used bigger minus smaller. We have used less than we should have used. The valuation is those kilograms times the original budget for price, 1.8. See how my planning stage of reading a story and putting the numbers down have made life a lot easier for me. Hopefully easier, hopefully easier. Planning usage, favorable. For sugar also, favorable. Spend less than a few seconds to format this. Final answer is not the focus of passing the exams. The build-up, that's why it's called constructed response. The examiner wants to see you constructing your response. And he likes the construction of the response better than even the response itself. So go logically and build up your response. That's why that part of the exam is called constructed response. Now, this issue about planning and operational variances, value it at the original budgeted price or value it at the revised budgeted price. That's the usage variances. There are different ways of doing this. The examining team accepts all different ways, and all these different ways don't produce the same results. Unfortunately, they don't produce the same results. If you look at the marking guide for this particular question, the examiner provided 2 ways of doing it. And the 2 ways of doing it produce different usage variances, but the examiner says it should be accepted. The alternative should be accepted. I'm not too sure which of them I've done, but the alternative should be accepted. So practice what makes life comfortable for you. Hopefully the one I'm doing with you makes life comfortable for you, because that has been comfortable with me for a long time. Maybe you too, hopefully. But even with that, this thing I've been doing, the quantity we use should have been paid for at this price, blah, 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 but we did pay for that. Focus on that and practice that a lot. I will be reminding you, let me get here. Apart from, let me look at the plan again. Apart from coffee code, I say you should do as homework on budgeting to reflect what we did with Greenwood Code. Variances are in chapters 9, 10, 11, 12, budgets and variances, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Sit down, do these quizzes. Any of the questions that you review and you still have a problem, please bring it to class so that I'm not the only one. These are the questions I'm going to solve with you on revision. If you don't bring any, then that's it. That's all we'll do. But if you bring more, we'll be doing more. I can imagine a class where everybody's bringing 1 or 2 questions. We'll be very rich in questions by the time we are ended the revision. Now, you've answered that, or we have answered that. Now, we've got to go to requirement B. I hate this sometimes. It's now in Word, assess the performance of both the production manager and the purchasing manager for the month of November. I don't understand what this examiner has done here. Note, there are up to 2 marks available. So 0 to 2 for additional calculations. All right. So of this 8 marks narrative, you could get up to 2 for doing additional calculations. Okay. Assess the performance of both the production manager and the purchasing manager. First thing I'll do, I'll copy this. Highlight, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Then purchasing manager. Highlight, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Because I was asked to assess the performance of these 2 people. So I need to put it as a structure. Production manager, I'll write a few words. Purchasing manager, I'll write a few words. Have they done well? Have they done well? Have they not done well? The purchasing manager, that's the number 2 here, is responsible for negotiating prices with suppliers. Well, I'll tell the marker something along the lines of planning variances and say that the market price for soybeans decreased due to the colder winter. And since that was outside the control of the purchasing manager, the planning variance. So here, I'll make reference to it. The planning price variance. Which was favorable, that drop will not be attributed to him. So he will not have to take a praise for that, or it will not have to be involved in assessing his performance. For sugar, similarly, the price has gone up due to the colder winter. You see, I'm using the words from the question, due to the colder winter. And again, he must not be blamed for it because that was outside his control. So I'll make those points quickly. Then I'll now say that he was responsible for negotiating prices. Therefore, the price operational variances were within his control. For soybeans, an adverse 36,660 shows that he has not done well because he has spent more than the revised budget for price. However, for sugar, the price variance has been favorable. Now I'll start looking for reasons. The mission is to produce high quality, cruelty-free products sourced from local ingredients. The soybeans and sugar are produced within 50 kilometers of the Ganco's premises. So the adverse soybeans price variance may be because of the distance that he had to travel and look for a supplier. And soybeans being a very important ingredient, he might have struggled, for which reason he has spent a lot more money. Well, what have I done? I said what has happened. That's the variance. I tried to find a reason why he would have paid more than the revised price. Now, focus here on the operational variance, which I'm saying that is within the control of the manager. What I'm trying to do now is that the soybeans adverse variance, I'm trying to find a reason. Could it be because of the distance, 50 kilometers to source it, might have been the reason why he had to pay more. But with sugar, although that is small, he has done well by saving some money on that. Looking at the content of sugar, it may appear that sugar is not as important as soybeans. That was why he probably was able to source it at a lower price than the revised budget. But the very important soybeans, he might have struggled due to the distance. What? Why? What? Why? That's the essence of writing narratives for performance evaluation questions. I've done that. Now I go to the other guy. The production manager is responsible for the product mix at Giganco. So I'll say that the planning variance for usage, that was due to the standard mix being changed because of new government legislation, which the company must adhere to. That cannot be attributed to the production manager. However, the operational variances, material usage operational variances, for both ingredients were adverse, a sign of poor performance. So I just said what has happened. Easy. Now I'll be looking for reasons. Vegan could also decrease the soya beans content per unit of the same. Okay. None of the above changes to prices and quantities were reflected in the standard cost card for November, which is prepared by the accounts department. The accounts department probably might have had problems really budgeting the correct mix of ingredients. And so the poor performance might have been due to the fact that wrong targets were set even with the revised budgets. Still looking for reasons. We used more sugar than budgeted, than the revised budget. Could it be also that because the quantity of soy milk used was more, the production manager had to use a lot more sugar to compensate for it? Other than that, it will not be as tasty. I don't know whether you understand that practically. If you use more soybeans, so I'm trying to find some linkage, you probably would have also have to use more sugar. Other than that, the taste will be lost. So I'm trying to say that using more sugar might have been linked to the fact that more soy milk was used. For that matter, he needed more sugar to compensate for that in the mix. So the mantra is what, why, any possible linkage, what, why, any possible linkage. That's the mantra. When I'm sending these notes to you, depending on time, the things I've said, I'll play it back to myself and write my answers according to what I've said. Then I'll also put down the examiner's model answer. Please, I say this always, and we always say this. The examiner's model answer, nobody's expecting anybody to be able to write that. But learn from that. The things that make sense to you, pick it up. The things that don't make sense to you, think about them to see whether they can make sense. If still they don't make sense, forget about them and then build up your own points on the mantra of say what, say why, possible linkages, like the way I link sugar to soy milk. Do that. It's just like in your own home. If I prepare coffee, I'm supposed to use 1 small sachet of coffee and a teaspoon of sugar. If for some reason I use 2 sachets of coffee, then naturally that might be the reason why I have used more sugar than budgeted. Other than that, the coffee will not be drinkable for me, will not be tasty for me. So that's the linkage I've just brought in. And you have to be as practical as possible rather than be a textbook person. Friends, any questions? So that we can say that the plan for tonight to answer Greenwood Co from the mock exam and vegan from a past exam March, June 2023 has been done. Now, to bring back these ideas to yourself, I'm recommending to you chapters 9 and 10 of the study hub. Those quiz questions, do them. Go to practice exam 1 on the CBE practice platform. Answer Coffee Co, question 21 to 25. The questions we've answered, go back and do them again. And then continue to do what I say you should do throughout the revision course and your final preparations. If there's any question, please ask. Other than that, we'll call it a night. And when Lord wills, we'll continue tomorrow. Let me go off record and have some announcement for you.